At number 1, guys, we have since Gamescom this year, in case you missed out on, a new open world and RPG adventure mix, something set within the period of medieval China and partially actually inspired by Ghost of Tsushima, a game that's been called Where Winds Meet ever since. Now, at the moment, there's actually no release date going on for this, only the fact that the game's a PC exclusive at its current state and that there will be an open beta test planned for it by the end of 2022. Behind that, by Tencent Games, that is technically the same folks behind the old PUBG, a new open-world martial arts-based ancient Chinese action RPG, something in the making ever since last year, going by Code to Jin Yong. Now, I've actually mentioned this one. Probably the greatest things about this is that the game is actually being built using Unreal Engine 5. It's gonna get a ton of support as always, because Tencent developers are just one of the richest companies in the world right now. And last but not least, the game is set to be released for PCs only and by the end of 2023. At number 3, and by Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja together. As a first, we have another action game in the making since earlier this year, going by the name Wolong Fallen Dynasty. That just got itself its first official gameplay trailer not too long ago either. It's great stuff. If I say so myself, it's just like Nia at its basis, but very different when it comes to overall experience. The game is huge, it's been developed for all consoles at the moment, and set to be released early next year.
Where are you?
Moving on, we have once again here with us Fate of Dan Shant Hereafter, the sequel to the 2017 original turn-based role-playing game that came our way once again with the news that it'll be coming to pretty much all consoles and due out somewhere between mid to late next year. This is outright one of the biggest game projects out of China right now, and this time around, the game is actually an action RPG at heart.
Even in hell.
At number 5, we have here Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, which is an action RPG and Souls-like that started development last year, and it's pretty much inspired mainly by Bloodborne and Sekiro games. Well, one that takes place in some imperial China in the final years of the Ming Dynasty in terms of aesthetic. The game is set to release for PCs, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X only. A release date for it is only rumored for early to mid next year. Next up, once again, it's actually the old Swordman X Survival, which is a martial arts themed survival and a crafting game that was revealed earlier this year. One that is set in an open world where you get to make your way all the way to the top from zero, which is basically the point of the game. Personally, I'm wondering about this one since reveal. Why? Because it does seem like the kind of thing that has a lot of potential. All that is lacking right now is a release date, and here's a single trailer the developers of which came up with earlier. At number 7 from last month, and I have kind of been waiting for the right moment to talk about this one, we have a new IP here called Kingdom Blood, which is technically based on a Netflix Korean zombie series called Kingdom and a story-driven hack and slasher I'd score. Just take a look. This game's set to be coming to PCs only and due out possibly early next year.
Dad, please promise me that we will survive.
Moving on, we've got Sengoku Dynasty. This is a pretty recently announced IP by the same creators who previously did Wild West Dynasty, Medieval Dynasty, so you get the point, now you get Sengoku Dynasty. This game, however, well, you see, focuses instead on a more routine-based simulation kind of formula where you partly farm, hunt, battle, and ultimately try to survive, then incorporating a little bit of RPG and strategy elements as well. Take a look. This game is coming to PCs only early next year.
Everybody was happy. And there was no hunger anymore. It was so beautiful and peaceful. I couldn't believe it.
Die by the Blade, on the other hand, well, technically from last year, is, as you can tell, just a 1 versus 1 weapon focused fighter in which a single blow could determine the victory of a round, meaning it's a one-hit competitive fighting game, and that's pretty much all there is to it. This game is set to come out for PCs and other consoles and even Switch, and actually with a story-driven single-player campaign in addition to an online multiplayer. Check it out just in case you missed it.
Fight on the streets, fight on the hills, near the shrines, and in the nature, so that you can experience the world we are building around you. What we're trying to achieve is to have this feeling of fear when you fight for your life, that you can die anytime by just single mistake, but you also can kill your opponent if he does just one mistake. Fights are short and extremely intense, and we're trying to build that.
Sword and Fairy, on the other hand, has actually been available since last month, and it's been going through some really heavy criticism. See, the game's actually out there now for the PlayStation 4 and 5 only. It is technically a PlayStation port of a PC game, and a pretty solid one, and one in my opinion if you're new to, however, because if you have played the game already on the PCs, there's just really no point in returning. Why? Because there ain't really much new going on here. The game itself, just in case you're wondering, is a non-linear, cutscene heavy action role-playing game.
He is required to perform seppuku, ritual suicide. They say we are men of dishonor for not choosing it. They say we are Ronin. When the apparition appeared, some thought it a demon, some the angel of death.
Earlier in March this year, we came across something called Ronin Samurai Redemption, and what was described by its developers to be some story-driven action-adventure that would be coming to PCs only. Pretty good looking game in my opinion, one that's got some potential. See, Samurai Redemption is actually partly even a puzzle game, in addition to a action slasher, but other than that, all we know is that the game is releasing later this year.
Now, we stand between the innocent and the forces of an ancient evil, using every skill we possess and the cold steel in our hands. To fight in shame to protect the ones we love. This may not be the way of the samurai, but this is the way of the Ronin. To stare into the eyes of the Reaper and say, honor could not claim my life, and neither shall you.
Game Science, developers of the Souls-like open-world action RPG in the making, some of you might know, going by the name Black Myth Wukong, did just come up with a hefty amount of gameplay in case you didn't catch up. We did get some more gameplay, like I said, and actually another cutscene trailer, in addition to the confirmation that the game will release next year and coming to PCs, Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 only. Check it out, just in case you missed it. A couple of weeks ago, Allbit Studios, on the other hand, finally came out with the announcement that Meifumato, which is a side-scrolling action RPG that they've been cooking for a while, is now on its way to pretty much every single console in addition to PCs and being funded through a Kickstarter campaign finally. The goal of which, according to developers, is to make an open-world kind of Metroidvania. And to be quite frank, I do think that it seems like they actually nail it. Check it out, game set to be released very soon. Now, Tale of Ronin, on the other hand, is actually more of a spiritual journey rather than just a samurai game. I'm not really sure though, but I've heard that game is about the more sympathetic side of a samurai's life, where you as a Ronin mainly have to survive the consequences of a slew of choices in a world of violence. Believe it or not, this game's actually been in the making for 4 years now. It is coming to PCs, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One only sometime next year.
Lost to the way of the samurai, they walk their own path. This is a tale of bloodshed and redemption.
Alright guys, coming up behind that, we've something called Mahokenshi. This is a turn-based blend of adventure, deck building and all, actually set in this hex/grid-based strategy aesthetic. Story-wise, you get to play as this guy called Mahokenshi, which is some sort of a samurai mage, like, I don't know, Uesugi Kenshin from the Samurai Warriors games. And basically, what you will need to do is to protect the kingdom against corruption. Here's how the gameplay works. The game itself releases here in about a few months from now and on Steam only. And last but not least, we've got the old action RPG hybrid Getsufuma Den Undying Moon, something you would need without a doubt if you're into games like Dead Cells. This is Konami's own roguelike hack and slasher, in case you missed out on, just released a couple of months ago, and sitting on Steam with mostly positive reviews and a $25 price. It is mature rated, it's got some hardcore stuff, and yeah, if you do like Japanese mythology and art history, this one's definitely for you.